up, baby?
Yeah. The Mac is back. Back with another video. Hello, the initiated. My name is Marcus Junikala, and today we're checking out Envoy. Depending on where you live and how you pronounce things, I guess. I'm going to say Envoy. Envoy? Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. By Emergence Audio. So, what is this thing? Let's go to the manual to learn a bit more about it, because I'm filming this review prior to the release. So the website isn't actually live yet, but we do have the manual to teach us what this thing is. So Envoy, subtitled Analog Percussion. And also, which we'll probably learn a bit more about, is powered by Cadence engine. And interestingly enough, the engine also has a subtitle, Everything Must Change, which is kind of epic. But yeah, Cadence engine, a new thing. I'm sure we'll learn a bit more about that as we come to it in the manual. First instrument built on the Cadence engine, a Rhythmic Variator designed to move past the static feel of looped percussion and the mechanical predictability of round-robin and velocity layer playback. Okay, so already pretty interesting concept. The percussive elements in the sampling world or the virtual instrument world don't tend to be things that people have worked a lot of these kind of randomness, variety, change type of things on. And I think this is actually really interesting and at least conceptually ahead of the curve, because we don't tend to think that rhythm elements need that kind of variety or shifting or randomness or changing elements. Typically we want rhythm to be, very rhythmical and predictable. But of course, we're talking about changes that are musical, and the variety is, musically controlled and balanced. Although I would suspect you can go crazy with this as well, but we'll have to see. Nonetheless, interesting concept. Every sound in Envoy comes from analog hardware. Okay, so this is a very important central thing to understand. It is based on analog percussive elements. 600 analog source sounds, 10 round robins per source, 6,000 total samples, 273 presets, which means I'm in trouble, from analog percussive synths and Eurorack gear. Okay, so this is really important to understand, because then you'll know, if you are interested in getting these kind of percussive sounds. Although if you don't use them yet, I do suggest you stick around. So maybe you might find something new that you do enjoy. No acoustic samples, no digital sources. Both layers draw from the same library of 600 analog sources. Okay, so basically, I'm presuming this is referencing the two layers in the engine. Here, you can see, I don't know if I can actually see that, but this one here and this one here. So two layers. I'm guessing that's what they're referring to here. Rather quickly, though, because we haven't yet seen the interface there on the manual, but I guess this presumes that you have the instrument in front of you. Each can play at its root pitch or shift it up or down by 1 or 2 octaves. Cool. So that's nice that it's built in, because that's something we do a lot, pitching percussion. That is over 4.5 million sound and octave combinations before you program a single step. Cool. Those round robins aren't played back in sequence. They're combined through the Cadence engine to deliver continuous variation rather than repeating playback. Now, this is a cool concept, because it's a different take on it. Obviously, if you're playing your percussion, you are engaging those different round robins, depending on your playing. But this takes those and uses them through a sequencer, which is unique. And I would also say that this is a pretty unique approach because we're talking about analog, drum machine or other gear generated sounds, which typically a lot of people don't tend to think of as something that introduces a lot of variety. Of course, there are analog pieces of equipment and there's always shifting things. But I think people would typically more think about round robins when it comes to organic sound sources. So this is definitely interesting. So yeah, 2 independent layers, a 32-step dual layer sequencer, 4 programmable blocks per layer, and the Flux Randomizer. It's a futuristic piece of technology, which we'll probably learn a bit more about. Works together so your rhythms shift and reshape themselves in real time. Yeah, again, I'm repeating myself, but I do like the idea that even though we're using, electronic analog drum machines and other, Eurorack gear and stuff like that, we're still introducing an element of shifting, randomness, changing, and I like that a lot because, again, with those electronic sources, we tend to think of them as more something very consistent and repetitive. We've got a bit of interesting math here. I don't know how, is that going to be too overwhelming to think about? Maybe, maybe not. For this brain, perhaps. Okay, a bit more about the Cadence engine. It's the foundation for a new series of instruments from Emergence Audio. So this is something you can expect to see in the future and be applied to presumably a bunch of different kind of sources, even beyond this electronic analog percussive stuff. It is a rhythmic variator, an engine architecture built around real-time variation across rhythm, mode, and sound. Cool. So dual independent layers, block-based sequencing per mode editing. Okay, yeah, I'm sort of trying to glance this through with focusing on the most essential stuff. Non-destructive variation. The Flux Randomizer reshapes your sequence in real time without overriding it. Okay, so this is very cool, appreciated feature. Turn it off and your signal settings remain intact. Turn it on, sequence evolves continuously on a percentage you control per block per mode. So this is really nice. I like the percentage approach because, if we're in the DAW and we are sequencing, not sequencing, let's say we've quantized something to the grid and then we want to introduce a bit of motion there. I really think the percentage-based variation there is super, super useful. So I like that is available here already within the engine, which is very nice. Envoy runs 3 independent. Geez, I'm gonna need some water for this. Getting my dry mouth syndrome here. Runs 3 independent clocks simultaneously. There we go. Layer 1 sequencer rate. Okay, layer 2 sequencer rate, and then Master LFO rate. This is definitely interesting. When synced, all 3 pull from the same tempo source, host or internal, but they advance on their own divisions. Each can be set anywhere from 4 bars to 1 out of 128. The Master LFO additionally offers a free-running Hertz mode. Okay, this means a slow LFO can evolve under fast mismatched sequencers, or fast modulation can flicker over a slow sequence. The clocks, why am I German suddenly? The clocks, or what's his name? Sean Connor? The clocks share only their tempo source, never their rate. Okay, so this is very cool is definitely philosophically has this idea of like more organic shifting motion, which I still think in the world of percussion is kind of an underdone thing, underserved aspect. So I'm very happy to see that personally. I can see a lot of polyrhythm potential here. So if you're doing some pretty advanced rhythm stuff, this seems to be really built for that. Preset concepts. Envoy ships with 4 NKI patches, each representing a distinct workflow. The patch you load determines how the 2 layers are mapped to your keyboard and how the sound sources are organized. This is very interesting because it allows you to, first of all, of course, tune the instrument to work best to your, not only your workflow, but your way of thinking, how you internally map and visualize the use of an instrument. And this really makes an instrument like exponentially more useful and accessible. So very cool. All 4 patches share the same cadence engine controls, only the source mapping logic changes. So yeah, I think this is such a simple thing, but it's such a brilliant thing, because it is often the case that you can love a library, but it's not ideal to use. It feels like something is a bit off with the workflow. So I really praise this approach, and I think more companies should be doing that. The 4 workflows are organized along 2 axes. Zoning, how the sound is laid out across a single range, and splitting, whether the 2 layers share the keyboard or each get their own half. Cool. So, first of all, you get Omni. Both layers play together across a single continuous keyboard range. Every note you play triggers both layer 1 and 2 simultaneously. Each layer can independently load a different range patch, as in low or mid, okay, letting you stack and crossfade 2 source registers under a single trigger zone. Okay, so that's even more flexible. The most direct workflow for layering 2 sounds into one composite voice. Very, very interesting. I love how these are different ways of thinking. Like, I'm sure every single one of us is going to have a preferred way of tackling this. Envoy zoned. A kit-style workflow, the keyboard range is divided into multiple zones, each triggering a different source within the loaded kit. Both layers follow the same zoning structure. Play a key in the low zone to trigger the low source, mid zone for the mid source, and so on. Zoned ships with 4 different kits, each with its own zone layout. Okay. Envoy split Omni. The Omni workflow with the keyboard split between the 2 layers. Okay, so that's interesting, easy to understand. I also like this, that if you're in Omni and you feel like, okay, there's something there I want to use, but it's kind of like too difficult to set up here, you can go to the split Omni and have access to that process. Layer 2, yeah, so layer 1 responds to one side, layer 2 to the other. Each layer plays a single zone source across its half. Use this when you want to play each layer independently. Yeah, okay, makes sense. Envoy split zoned. The most granular workflow. The keyboard is split between the 2 layers. Yeah, okay, got it. And each layer's half is further divided into multi-zone kits. 2 independent kits, 2 independent sequences, 2 independent zones. Okay, so this is very cool. Such a simple thing, but makes such a difference in using the library. But we'll put our own hands on it. We'll see how that works. And again, what we're going to do here in the review is going to be very different from what I would do probably for a workflow of my own if I'm writing music. Because again, the goals in a review or to demo this to you is going to be different from what I would probably do for if I was writing my own music. Snapshot categories. Within each NKI workflow, snapshots are organized into 2 categories that describe the rhythmic relationship between the 2 layers. So you have meter, both layers run at the same time. Okay. The step count can differ between layer 1 and layer 2, which keeps the percussion moving, but because the rate is shared, the layers stay grounded and come around together. Best for 4/4/3/4 production contexts. We want organic moving percussion that locks to the grid. Okay, cool. Here we go, poly. The 2 layers run at different rates. So this is sounds fun and potentially bonkers in the best possible way. So they no longer share a pulse and begin to cycle against each other. I hate you, layer 1. I love you, layer 2. The rhythm shifts continuously, producing patterns that take many bars to fully repeat or never repeat exactly the same way. Yeah, this is really cool if you're into any kind of polyrhythm, weirder rhythm stuff. I imagine this is going to be like really good for a lot of like cinematic stuff as well. Best for tension, propulsion, and cinematic contexts. There you go. Where the rhythm itself needs to evolve over time. Then they have, this is actually very useful, naming, I don't actually know how to pronounce that word. Scheme, sure. So all snapshots follow this format. First you get the mapping, so that's what we touched on with the zones, name, BPM, time signature, category. Cool. And again, they emphasize importantly, the BPM in the file name is a suggestion based on how the rhythm was designed to feel. So again, what they designed is probably going to be quite different from what you want to do and how it feels and sounds like to you. And again, you can play any snapshot at any host tempo and Envoy will sync automatically. So again, these are just reference points of where these sounds were designed at in terms of the tempo. All right, next up, the manual goes into the interface stuff, but I think what we'll do here is instead go to the interface ourselves and go through it that way. Hopefully this is more insightful rather than me just repeating to you what the manual says. You can do that yourself, so there's no utility in me doing that. So first of all, looking at the library structure here on the left in the browser window, we obviously have Envoy here. And in this sub drop-down menu here, I shouldn't say sub, drop-down menu for the instrument, we have some different options. Now I'm in contact 8. Let's actually go to the manual and see which contact version you do need for this installation. So Envoy requires contact 8.1 or later, or contact player 8.1 or later. So important to know in case you don't have it yet. Yeah, I mean, we would be in contact 8 anyway. Yeah, that's what you need. So in this drop-down menu, you have some options. So as we read in the manual, we have Omni, split zoned, and zoned. So again, quite kind of self-explanatory when you select those. Those are the presets in that layout that you get. You also have an all banks folder, which loads everything here in the browser, which is actually quite useful. And also, when I look at this amount here, this seems to be like a really intuitively estimating, like a very good balance of things, because it's quite a lot of stuff, but it's not overwhelming. You know, I'm not doing this browsing for like, 10 seconds. I can sort of wrap my head around what is being offered here. And, preset amounts are things that I increasingly focus on, because it kind of tells about the developer's ability to present and package the instrument in a way that is coherent and useful. If you have like a million presets, it kind of says that it's not really, how should I put this? I guess the concept isn't quite sort of focused or coherent enough. But I'm liking what I'm seeing here. And of course, you can also see the omni-zoned, split omni and split zoned selections to pick from there as well. In Omni, you can choose all sub-banks. So to my understanding, this would be every single preset within Omni. But what I also see is options for high, low, mid, and then this would be Omni, which is again, all of those layers playing together in some kind of a combination. Now, I always praise when libraries do this, especially when it comes to percussion, because when I have options for high, low, and mid, it's often the case that in a track, I'm looking for a specific thing. Like, I know that for this intro, I want something low and kind of ominous and rumbling. So I can just go in here instead of plowing through a lot of these other folders looking for what I'm looking for. And sometimes I know, okay, this is working really well, but I need something higher there in the percussion range. So I can just go to the high folder and look through here. And this is everything that is here. I can't scroll up or down. So this looks like a really good, coherent, focused amount of things for me to have a look at. It's not overwhelming. I'm not like, I can't go through, how many is this? The 5, 10, probably about 20 different ones here. So this I really love, high, low, mid. It really speaks a lot about a developer's understanding of real world, composition workflows. So that's really good. What I have selected here, we'll probably start just with the Omni folder itself. So that's the library structure in the browsing view, very nicely laid out. And then, of course, also here I can choose the same things, but that's the same thing, so it doesn't really matter there. So this interface, to me, looks to be like a stylistic thing meeting a utilitarian thing. You can sort of look at it as kind of like a 3D sculpture thing. It's all the colors, all the shades, everything here is really nicely balanced. So it looks like one coherent instrument. But looking at it, it can also seem a bit overwhelming because we do have a lot of information here, a lot of buttons, a lot of things going on. I will say you should read the manual, even though we're going to go through this as well. But the manual is very well done. It explains every single control here in a very straightforward, simple to understand fashion. So if you do feel overwhelmed looking at this, I promise you it is short-lived, because if you go through the manual, you'll get a clear explanation for everything. And everything here ultimately makes sense, although it might look a bit dense and a lot of things are happening. And a lot of that comes from the perception of this sequencer thing here as well. So again, suddenly this looks a lot more manageable. So, but that's just a part of the nature of the beast. If you have a complex sequencer, it's going to look more intimidating. Let's just go. So basically, like they say in the manual, this is a mirrored design. So if you understand one side of the instrument, you understand the other one as well. This is kind of the case when people look at a mixing console for the first time, non-musicians or even starting musicians, and they go like, what do all of these things do? And it's the one thing basically, 24 times or more. But yeah, learn one side and you know the other because they're mirrored. There's a button here in the left corner. I'll just go through everything from the left side. So this turns the layer off, and now it's not doing anything. Next to it, you have a selector where you can basically choose the type of source material there. This little dot here turns the sequencer on or off. So when it's off, you see the kind of one-shot view of the source sample that is in question. And this is actually really cool. I think they, in the manual, sort of more describe this as a way for you to jump into the source sound itself. And again, here, I can manipulate how this sample is being played. So I can control the start time. I could do it there, for example. I can tune this up or down. 36 semitones seems to be up or down the amount here. Low pass cut. Again, very useful if there's content in the sample you don't want to have go into the sequencer or into the engine, period. Low pass resonance, high pass cut, and high pass resonance. So this is really, really cool stuff. And again, press that button, we go back to the sequencer. And then all the changes we did for that one shot are applied. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about is I actually love this because it just gives me access to the source sample. So even though this is created as a sequencing beast machine, this is really useful because I can find a sound that is very interesting to me, and I might want to use it on its own. And in fact, I've talked about this a lot in several videos, where I think we still don't have enough sample libraries or virtual instruments that do electronic, doesn't need to be necessarily analog, but could be electronic percussive elements. So again, this gives me access to those things, and this alone could be, worthwhile for you, even if you're not a huge user of the sequencing stuff. So this might be kind of one of the, I would predict, kind of the most underlooked aspect of this, because again, you have so many sound sources, and I'm sure a lot of them are super cool. We'll come to that. We'll test the theory, but this just gives you access to that, and I think that will probably be quite overlooked with this library. I mean, for example, I'm going to turn off the right layer, and I'm going to just play the sample on its own. Let me up the volume here a bit for you, because it's a lot quieter when you're just playing one sample. A little bit of clipping there on the last one. But yeah, I mean, hopefully you understand what I mean by that. This doesn't have to be a sequencing beast. It can also be just a source of a lot of really cool, electronic percussive elements. So big fan of that being available there. Next to this source drop-down menu, you have a little button here, and this is the randomization on or off feature. And this is specific to the source selector here. So if I have this on, and I go to the randomizer source here, this is just a slider for the amount of randomize, but I press this same button above it, it changes the source sound, as you can see there. Cool, so that's how that works. And by the way, you're gonna see a bunch of these randomization buttons across this instrument, and that's effectively what it does. It makes it possible for the randomizer to do its job. So if I turn that off there and randomize here, you can see now that the sequence in the sequencer is not randomizing. When I put it on, it does randomize. So that's what that button does across the whole thing, wherever you may see that. Next up, we have the crosshair button here, which basically turns this sequencing view into kind of like an XY pad behavior thing. So if it's off and I grab a note here, I can only move that one note, even though I'm moving my mouse around the sequencing thing here. But if I turn it on, I can do the typical thing that you so often can do with sequencer views, which is click and drag. So that's how that is made available to you. Next button here, or I should say probably two buttons here, choose the direction of the sequencer. So obviously arrow to the right means forward. Let me up the level here again for you, because it's a lot quieter when you just when you've been mucking about with the sounds. And then this would be backward. And as you can see from the scrolling light at the bottom of the sequencer, that shows where it's going. Then we have this third option, which you can again see that it takes you from beginning to the end and then comes back to the beginning. So very simple controls, but these can introduce a lot of really interesting variety. Then you have an Octave Control, which again does exactly that. So if I turn off this other layer, so this is again a very simple way of completely transforming what the sound is doing. And this is actually one of the reasons why I love electronic percussive sources, because you can do a lot of pitch shifting up and down, and the same sound source is going to give you completely different results. And it's very cool because a lot of sounds do work on both ends. They work as high and mid and low elements, depending on the pitching. So I would say one of the very central controls for a library of this style. Next up, we have this link button here. So if I press that, you can see the link button engage here on the other side as well. What I wanted to test if it actually links the on and off stage as well, but it doesn't. Let me just let's go ahead and change this preset here just to have something reset. Again here, I have my XY option on, so I'm gonna do this and press the link button, and it copies to the other side. So again, really cool. Let's jump to the middle bit here. This is quite simple, but basically the sequencer can control 5 different areas independently for each side. So velocity, that's your note velocity. Pitch, okay, I'm gonna turn off the link here so it doesn't do that for each side, because this is really cool that it shows independently for each side. And this is very useful when you're doing specific tweaking and you want to have different views for each layer. But again, velocity, pitch, again here I can adjust the pitch of what the sequencer is doing. Note length, again, same thing you can draw here with the cursor thing, XY option chosen. Panning, same thing, goes left to right, and low pass, high pass. So I'm guessing if we go, low pass and then up, we get a high pass. Okay, so very sensible, very cool. And again, independently, you can look at these by pressing these arrows here. And once again, the round dots here turn on and off each aspect. And again, all of these save their states independently, so none of the changes are lost when you go through stuff. So the Flux Randomizer control can be found here. Again, this dot light here shows you whether it's on or off. What's important to understand here is that this is per each layer here. So for pitch, it's on. For length, it's off, for example. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn off layer on layer 1 on the left and keep layer 2 on the right, because this is doing higher frequency stuff, so it's a bit easier to hear the differences. So again, I think I'm going to demo this starting with the pitch control, because that's probably the easiest to hear. So that's obviously a very extreme example, but again, I want you to hear what it's doing and that it's working. Importantly here, you have to realize that it doesn't change it in real time. It changes or applies the changes for the next sequence in question, presuming that it's actually selected for Flux randomizing, which all of these are here. So if you see me move this in the middle of a sequence, it does not. But then the next sequence that I play is going to be pitch random. And again, that sounds very silly, at least to me, but just to demonstrate to you how this works. And again, that you can apply these changes while you're kind of mid-sequence. Let's just add a tad bit of that, like 10%. So you can hear a bit of variance there. Another example would be panning. That's easy to hear. So that's on, and let's see how that works. So there you can see the randomizer produce random patterns for each of those blocks. So that's how that works. Underneath the Flux randomizer, you also have the ARP. So again, on or off. For those, you can choose, these seem to be all the basic patterns. So as played, so order of fingers landing on the key or the keys, up, down, random, and chord. So those are the typical arpeggio settings. And then you can choose the rate for your ARP. So how fast it's repeating or moving in relation to your host tempo. All right, moving on to the middle of the interface, you have this infinity symbol here, which is basically like a volume crossfade controller. So let's play something and show you how that works. So obviously there, as I'm dragging this control for layer 1 to the right, it just disappears because it's turned off. Same thing for layer 2. And then there's a button here in the middle where you can link them. Which is really cool. Obviously in the middle, it means that they are perfectly balanced, as all things should be. When you turn it to the right, you can see we get layer 2 dominant, and then on the left, layer 1 dominant. So this is really nice because you can be going from, let's say, a verse to a heavier section, or let's say you have like a movie scene and you want it to sort of start kind of light, and then you want to blend them together maybe, and then maybe you want to fade into the lower end stuff. For example, of course, use cases are plenty here, but this is a kind of actually nice way of visualizing that. One thing I would probably add or change here is having some kind of color coding here for each layer, because logically when you understand this, you know that, okay, when I'm here at the top, closer to layer 1 being at the top, that's that layer, and same happening here. But if you have kind of no context of how this thing is structured and works, then you might be wondering, what do these represent? So maybe some kind of very subtle color coding there could help somebody understand this if they don't read the manual, as many people don't. So maybe worth considering there. Also, they obviously make a stylistic choice here. They want to have the infinity symbol here. So it's kind of like the art of the instrument or the artistic style of it meeting some usability questions. Again, I actually kind of like this because it does visualize the relative levels between the two. I think the infinity, kind of these end bits here, can be confusing because they don't do anything. They're not in any way, shape, or form part of this. Obviously, they kind of light up there once you get to the end, kind of signaling that you've come to the end of the spectrum. But I do like this kind of slope meeting slope aspect because it does tell me visually very nicely where the relative balances are. But I think some people might be confused about the infinity symbol there. But that's how it works regardless. I think it's pretty cool for the reasons that I mentioned. On each side, you have step envelope controls for each layer, ADSR. So pretty basic stuff, but let's touch on that as well. Actually, what I want to do here is let's focus on the high element, because again, that's easier to hear. Again, if I max out the attack, you're not going to hear anything because the attack takes so long to engage. Again, it's basic ADSR control there, so most of you should know how that functions, but it's basic usable utility to have there and to control the basic profile of each side here. So really important to have. All right, next up, under the step envelope ADSR controller, you have this box with different effects here. So saturation, distortion, lo-fi, tape saturation, delay, chorus, and reverb. And again, these are per the layer you're dealing with here. And here's a button that turns on and off the whole layer again. And also you have linking buttons here for each. And I guess if I open both up and press the link here, yep, it copies the settings to the other side, as the link button does or did before. Cool. Underneath that, your view changes depending on what you have selected here. If I have the layer selection here, then I have controls for the layer volume, panning, and width. And the buttons here next to them control the LFO attenuation to those parameters. So this would maximally attenuate the volume based on the LFO. This would maximally do so with the pan. And again, these effects are shown to you with the blue color. So the more there is, the more intensive that attenuation is. And then for width as well. So this is a very, very nice way of setting this up and controlling these parameters. And then you can also flip the polarity here, I believe, as well. In the middle box, you have two different tab options. You can have your modulation control, and this would be your kind of master LFO here. Again, you can turn it on or off here. Rate can be controlled by BPM or Hertz. So again, here we can see the Hertz that controls it, and very nicely you can see the intensity or length of that waveform as well there. But BPM controlling, and then you can set the rate in relation to that BPM. Basic stuff, but very handy, very cool, easily laid out. And here you can choose your waveform for that LFO. Depth control, as you always tend to have. And then what does this do? Okay, so it's a global control for that. Let's actually check that from the manual here. So over here, 39, attenuator bypass. Bypasses all attenuator settings and reverts to the master LFO depth value. Okay, cool. So yeah, it kind of skips, globalizes the settings for that. So what that practically means is when you do that, globalizes or applies those master settings to the attenuation controls that we just had a look at. Cool. This is very thoroughly thought out. Like all of the controls, there's a lot of like, how should I say it? Cross connectivity, but none of this is redundant. None of it is pointless. Like it might seem a bit complex at first, but it's all very well thought through and has genuine utility cases. Because when somebody goes very deep with this, like seems like a super deep instrument, and there are a lot of users who want to do that, go hard and deep into the specifics. In that case, you're gonna bump into moments where you go like, oh, I wish I could, send that over there and control that with this. And so far, at least with my logic going through this, not once have I thought, I wish I could do that, or I wonder if I could do that. Because every single time you've been able to do everything, and I should say more than what I expected. So from a kind of engineering planning standpoint, this is really, really well planned. Then you have Master Effects tab here, where you can control saturation, compression, that comes in percentages, solid EQ, reverb, and limiter. And again, here we have host or internal BPM control there. Also, this button here opens up the Master Effects over to the main area above. So this is if you want more granular control for your Master Effects. As you can see, we get the usual controls for our compression settings. This is actually very, very, very useful, because with a lot of instruments, it can be the case that the Master Effects are kind of too general for you to do what it is that you want. And this gives you a ton of control. Even with the EQ, we get low, mid, high, mid, and high control, high passing, low passing. Very good. And the reverb is also very comprehensive. So cool. One last thing is to look at the sides on this instrument. Let's first choose an element. Yeah, that sounds super, super cool. So on the right and the left as well, per layer, you have controls for dynamics, you have control for humanizing, and then also randomize, a slider here. So let's actually center this. I actually wish there we had some kind of a nodule, some kind of a dot that you could click to centralize this amount. I can see that it's 50 milliseconds, but just a tiny user interface kind of thing. If there was a little dot you could click and then it goes right to the center, that would be nice. Doesn't seem like it does that. Cool. So dynamics, let's play with that first. So obviously at -100, we have no dynamics. And then at full tilt, it maximizes the differences there. Humanize. So you can hear at minimum setting, it just goes full robot there in the middle. And at full. And again at 0. So again, humanizing controls, this is this gives you many different layers of essentially randomization. Again, a humanizing control is kind of like that in a certain way. But I mean, typically if you want to add a bit of that spice there, you want to be very subtle with your movements. Unless you just want to go super crazy, but typically like a little sprinkle of that if you want to. What's wrong with my S's today? Sprinkle. A little sprinkle of that gives you that kind of interesting shifting motion. But again, I love that this gives me so many different ways of introducing that slight randomness or organic motion in there. And then we have the randomization control here. This controls the percentage, and here if I press the button, you can see that it randomizes elements that have the randomization engaged. So again, for this one here, this controls the source sample being randomized, and this one here, the sequencer elements. So again, if it's off and I change or press this randomization button, it doesn't change, for example, this velocity sequence here, but when I engage it, it does. So that's how that works. Again, one last thing we didn't touch on when it comes to the sequencer here is you can, of course, adjust your sequencer steps with these sliders here. And again, if I pull them all the way down, you only get 4 steps, and then I can increase the divisions or step amounts here within every box or slot, maybe rather. So you can get super specific and granular, very, very cool and very essential feature of that. Cool. I think that actually covers the whole interface, I believe. Again, it can be a lot of information going in here, but this is one of those cases where when you actually read the manual, and again, it's a very light read. I probably read through all of those controls. I'd probably say maybe in a couple of minutes, a few minutes. It doesn't take much, but it really enlightens you in terms of how this is laid out. Because again, when you first lay your eyes on this, it can seem like a lot of information, but it's actually really well designed. It is a bit dense, of course, but everything works very nicely once you know the symbols and their roles and meaning. It all actually, the workflow flows really, really well. All right, so we've read the manual, we understand the background, we've gone through the interface, we know how it works. So that only leaves us with the most interesting part of doing these, which is actually playing the instrument. So what is the plan for today? Well, I aim to play as much of Envoy to you as possible. What that practically means is that I'm gonna try and go through as many presets here as possible. We probably are not going to be able to play all of them because there is a fair amount. I think it was 273, so that can be a bit too much, especially when one preset doesn't just kind of do one sound. As we've been playing with this so far, going through the interface, I can hear that every single preset kind of includes different sets of source sounds. So one preset isn't just going to be one sound. It's actually going to be like a selection of different source sounds. So you can kind of, it seems to me like a kind of preset here in the browser is kind of a selected kit, if you will, of sounds. So due to that, it's probably going to be quite dense, just playing one preset. It's not just going to be like pressing down a single key. So because of that, probably won't be able to go through all of the presets, but I'll try and cover as much ground as possible. Thanks to Contact 8, I will be previewing them with a click on the browser, in the browser first, and then I'll be loading it up to actually lay my own hands on there. So hopefully that kind of covers as much ground as possible so that you can hear snippets and then deeper sounds. The sounds that I select are just going to be sounds that speak to me the most. They're in the moment. I hear something interesting and then I'm going to dive deeper into that. It's not necessarily a statement about good or bad, because what speaks to me now is that's going to change per hour, per day, per week. Often is the case that I hear something, that I'm going to play certain things today, and then I play with this tomorrow, and I'm going to be like, how did I not click on that? But again, I'm just going to have to go with the flow and with what speaks to me in the here and now and grabs my attention. But with this approach, I think we should be able to go through all of these to quite a comprehensive extent. The question is, of course, here is how do we want to go through this? My intuition here, based on studying the manual, studying this instrument here, is that I'm going to start with the Omni presets, just to get like the biggest overall all-encompassing sense of what this thing sounds like. As we do that, it's important to remember that, again, you can split everything you hear into the most granular form. So if you hear something you like, but there's something you don't like, which is often the case with presets, there's something that grabs our attention and something that we want to discard, that's perfectly fine. You can do it with this instrument by going into the zoned selection, for example. But again, I think Omni is going to give us the best kind of overall idea of what this thing sounds like. And then we're going to go into some of these different configurations, like the split Omni, split zoned, and zoned options, to give you an additional idea of how you can operate this thing. And also important to remember is that you can, again, in the Omni folder, you can go into high, low, and mid selections, which again, I'll repeat myself, but that's, I would say, an essential inclusion for any percussive library. So that's the battle plan for this. Also, what's interesting about doing this review demo today is that I'll be writing a demo track for Emergence audio that's going to go on the website. So you're actually seeing me also get to know this instrument in real time. And based on my findings here, I'll be collecting some sounds that I want to use for that demo track. And probably on the edit table, I might here now edit in the finalized demo track, or if not, then you can go to the Emergence audio website and have a listen to that track. But this is interesting because I'm actually like sourcing compositional material and ideas simultaneously as we're going through this. In terms of what you'll be hearing today, it's only Envoy in action. I don't add any effects on top of it whatsoever. No EQ, no reverb, no compression, no nothing. I do have a limiter on my master bus just so I can keep an eye on the final level for this video for your listening enjoyment. But that being said, it's said to be as transparent as possible, so you should hear very minimal coloration, if anything at all. I mainly keep it there just to make sure that the level output for this video is as good as it possibly can be for your viewing and listening enjoyment. Sometimes we're dealing with a percussive library, so if there are like very strong transient sound peaks, sometimes I might have to capture some of those to make the overall level more consistent for this video. But again, if that happens, it's set to be as transparent as I can possibly make it. And certainly if I hear any obvious or excessive crushing or compression, I'll back it down. But I'll try and keep this as, organic for you as we possibly can. In terms of transparency, Emergence Audio did send me this copy, so thank you to them for doing so. Also, in addition, I am being compensated for my time that it takes to check it out and produce all of this review content, all of the videos, all the text, and everything else that goes into this reviewing package. But as always, all opinions are my own, both in good and bad. I haven't been asked to say anything one way or the other, nor would I ever do that. Any kind of compensation I get only covers the time and the effort that it takes to create this content for you. And also, I will, as I mentioned, I will be creating a demo track for the Emergence Audio website and possibly other content pieces that they might use it for. And I'm also being compensated for writing that track. Anything else we want to touch on? Oh yeah, talking about going in here blind. So this is as blind as I could possibly make it. Obviously, we've played a few notes here as we've gone through the interface breakdown there. I've also played a few funny keys before starting to record this video, just to make sure that we're good to go from a tech issue removal perspective, making sure everything is running as intended. But other than that, I am very much going in blind here. I haven't played with this for more than a few seconds, again setting this video up, and as you heard, checking out this interface here. It is not blind in the sense that I've obviously read the manual both alone as well as with you in part. The technical side, I actually didn't read too much about the conceptual side of that because I want to keep it natural for this video. But other than the manual and the few funny notes we did here, this is completely blind, so you'll be hearing my authentic response to Envoy. As usual, that's the way I like to do it, because that's interesting to me, and hopefully it's the most interesting version of what I can deliver to you as well. Is there anything else we want to touch on here? I guess lastly, we could go to the manual and touch on the side that we didn't. So installation here, system requirements, as we touched on, you need Contact 8.1 or later, or Contact Player 8.1 or later. Fully NKS compatible to be used with complete control and Native Instruments hardware. Installing with native access. This was, again, very standard, very typical, nothing special here. And then we have some credits, which I always like to mention whenever I see them. So concept and creative direction, Michael Vignola. I don't know if that's supposed to be said in the Italian style, but that's the way I've always said it, Michael, and I will stick to it. No, just let me know if there's the correct way of pronouncing that. Produced by Emergence Audio, and again, Michael has done the sound design, sample curation, recording, mapping, preset design, engine design, and UX architecture. So a lot of work to be done there for sure. And then user interface, user experience, design and production by Gabriel Dib. Again, I don't know what's up with the way I say it, but I'm sure it's like that, right? You let me know, Gabriel. Contact scripting, KSP LUA scripting, and NKS hardware mapping by, again, Gabriel Dib. And then Again, NKS implementation and additional contact scripting and KSP support. That's so many words, by Matt Constantine. So there you go. That's the team that makes the magic work. And I guess as a final side mention, which I think is funny, is as you can see here on the camera, no longer have a mic pre here, no longer muting and unmuting with my hand. It's been a thing that people have been obviously noticing for, well, since the beginning, and asking, what are you doing with your hand all the time? Asking if it's part of the music creational process, which obviously it has not been. It's just been for muting my voice. But that has now changed to this foot pedal that I have down here. And hopefully that's going to be more utilitarian and functional. But since Mixing Link Eventide was with us for such a long time and no longer is, I kind of wanted to touch on this as a milestone and thank it for its service. So thank you, Mixing Link Eventide. Rest in peace. May we make you proud. All right, let's start going through the presets. As mentioned before, I'm going to start with the Omni presets, or the Omni configuration, I should say, because I'm thinking that will probably present the general sound of Envoy in the kind of best, most direct fashion. We're going to look at the other configurations as well, but I think this is what we should kick off with. From the Omni folder, I'm going to start with the Omni presets without going into the high-low mids, although we'll probably have a look at those as well. But I have the first preset, Carbon Run 2, loaded up here. And also one of the things that I noticed here is that by default, down here, it seems like these presets use the internal clocking, and those seem to be automatically set to the designer tempo here. So I won't, presumably, I'm guessing this is the case with all the presets, I won't have to adjust the tempo in my DAW, but of course, if I feel like, hey, I want to do a different tempo, then I'm going to switch that up. But it's just a little tiny thing you should also know about this library, that it does load things up from the designed perspective. And then, if you want to tweak things, you got to sync to your host, or otherwise here, adjust your BPM if you want to. Oh yeah, okay, so you got to click on it and drag up and down. I just wanted to see how that works, but cool. All right, Carbon Run it is, and let's start playing. And also, we'll probably play as much of these Omni things as possible, and then sort of do a bit more choosing once we go into the other configurations. So this will probably be, hopefully, the most, what's the word? All-encompassing type of a look into a folder. Cool. Yeah, I like these kind of industrial distorting sounds a lot. It seems like right off the bat, like the combinations of something sharper in the top end and something low, kind of bolstering it up, seems to be the best configuration here for me. Cool. Let's go to the next one. Actually, I want to pull this down because it's quite rapid. All right, Chase Protocol. Yeah, anything like that sounds like almost like a more signal type of a thing, kind of broken old, not broken, but old electronics. Yeah, I'm gonna favorite this one. I love the slight kind of, it's tastefully almost kind of like a glitchy sound, like a, but it's not. It's a lot tastier. Yeah, that's like an old broadcasting signal thing. Very tasteful distortion on that. Yeah, I love those kind of like dirty, resonant, distorting analog signal type of things. Ooh, that seems low and ominous. Just the way I like it. I love that. That's so tastefully done. Again, one of the things that makes cinematic things overall sound big is when you listen to it on its own, it sounds huge, but it doesn't sound like it's occupying like a ton of space in a mixing sense. This sounds very effortlessly big. Again, very tasteful use of distortion there. Has a beautiful kind of futuristic, not cyberpunky necessarily, but could work for that genre as well. Kind of like a really ominous tone to it. Also, I love how the transients are coming through. They're like very softly popping through, but super precise. And again, the distortion there, the grit, it's not like overbearing coming out of the speakers. It's more like super, super nicely tuned. Ooh, I really like this. This has like a futuristic industrial sound. Kind of, if you played Armored Core, kind of this could fit something like that. But, you know, if I did it, for example, which I would love to. Let me do the next Armored Core, okay? Probably don't have the CV to pull that off, but yeah, this is very cool. What was I going to say? I had something to... Oh, yeah. We are slightly capping some of the harder transients here on the limiter. I kind of had to do that to make the level sufficient for this. But again, the effects of that shouldn't be too radical for you to hear. Again, some of those main hits there are spiking transients a lot more than the main body of the sound here. Slightly poorly clipping there. Let me pull back a bit. Yeah, most of that texture is coming from the distortion itself. I love how the distortion is done here. It's like a gritty, slight blanket on top of the sound. It really makes it bite nicely. Loving the sequence here. Very, it has this kind of like, it's almost already narrating the scene. Very, very tastefully done. Also, what I was impressed by earlier, which I forgot to say, was the subtle changes in some of these first sounds that we checked out. Let me see if I can find that again. Was that one. Just slight subtle changes here. This is where I think the philosophy of the everything must change thing is showing. Because again, if I have like a scene in a movie or a video game and that's going underneath there, let's say throughout even the entire song, if it's kind of like one of those anticipatory, like dangerous coming type of things, that could be running throughout the entire song. And of course, I'm going to make sectional changes to that. But with this, it adds an additional element of motion and unpredictability and changes. It's not something that a listener is going to notice or realize consciously unless they're a musician or a composer or something like that. But it does create variety and motion. Because we do detect, even if you're not a musician, you're going to detect the repeating patterns, and it's going to get boring for your brain. So very much appreciate the philosophy behind this. This was a really good one. I like I said earlier, I'm favoriting the stuff that I'll use most likely or try use for the demo track. So it'll be a lot of fun to do that. A lot of low-end information there, so it is clipping the limiter quite heavily. Again, the distortion is perfect on that burp, burp, burp. It's like a slight, not glitchy sounding, but it's, perfect sort of analog type of distortion there. It feels like it's an actual mechanical component. I love that sound. I mean, again, this goes so well together with something like a futuristic, industrial, darker world. Again, it's such an effortless, beautiful balance of things. Like I can see on my scope there, beautiful fundamental tone there at 50 hertz exactly. Beautiful resonance, and then kind of slopes off. But again, it sounds big and pleasant with no issues. Like nothing here is like too pushy or aggressive. Here again, what I like, sounds kind of like an unassuming sound. Like maybe you'd be like, oh, that's a bit underwhelming. I'm not so impressed by that. But from this one, I can hear that this is done by someone who actually writes cinematic music, who actually works on this type of music, period, because it's a perfect mood setter. It accomplishes all the goals that a sound like this is going for. Like, again, I'm hearing like a futuristic, industrial, darker world tone with this. And it would be so easy and beautiful to build, strings on top of that or anything else. But it's like when things sound like effortless and soft and nothing is poking at me, then I know that these are really, 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 really well put together and mixed and balanced. Let's go to the next preset here. Ooh, sounds like we're going to get some really deep low end action here. Okay, that's nasty in the best possible way. Again, it's so well balanced. Like, I know I can just go with this into a writing session and start writing music, and I don't have to worry about making like a brrr sound not eat up everything else in the mix, because it's so well put together out of the box. Yeah, we're going to favorite that one. Seems like we're going to do quite a few in a row. That's so good. And again, the fluctuation here, no pun intended, due to the Flux randomizer, but the thing, there are changes every time. It's not just the same brr every single time, but it's slight variety. It's really cool stuff. I mean, such a beautiful cinematic sound. Okay, we're probably eating a bit too much into the limiter there. Yeah, also what I'm digging here is that you get such a good spectrum of sounds centered around the same theme. And this is something I've talked a lot about when it comes to sample libraries, that when you find a good thing, you usually want to have different angles of that same thing, different tastes, different flavors of that, because you find the good thing, but maybe there's a slightly better tint of that can go for your, for your song or fit to your song, your track. This gives you a really good, comprehensive set to work with. Now, of course, if you find a sound, you can go ahead and tweak it to your own liking, but and you probably always should do that unless you find something perfect. But this gives you more granularity. You can narrow the choices down to 3 options, and from the best one there, then you can do your tweaking. It just means that you get closer and closer to the best possible options to go with. Okay, so good set of different sort of higher register kind of action motion elements. Whoa. Let's pull back a bit on the level. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much perfect for if you're doing like a big trailer with big, dark, distorted things. There it is. That's interesting. That's more like a kind of a beat type of a thing. And we are hitting the clip, the limiter way too hard here. I mean, this is obviously understandably, marketed or mentioned or spoken of as a percussion thing first and foremost. But so far I have to praise all of the kind of bass elements as well, or I should say, pitched percussive elements. Obviously, when they're using analog electronic equipment, they're going to have those kind of elements in here. But it's a really important thing to understand and know, because you're kind of getting 2 things in the same box. Obviously, percussive, yes, but in the world of electronic analog percussive elements, there's going to be pitched qualities. And for example, here, you wouldn't need to use another pitched bass element at all, because it's already in here and it's sounding fantastic. So unless you obviously wanted to change that, but for me, it's becoming clear that, okay, I'm getting actually 2 things in one instrument. Yeah, there you go. And I think that's actually a huge selling point for this, because it kind of becomes more like a complete cinematic, dark toolkit in that sense. It does the percussive thing, but it also does a lot of the bass elements as well. So yeah, very, very cool to discover that. again, there, I love the burp, burp, bam, burp thing. I love stuff like that. Again, another fantastic bass to use there. Also, very wooden sounding percussion element there. Actually quite impressive how they can pull that out of whatever stuff they're using. Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, I think we're going to go through all of these here. It's not an impossible amount. And again, I think it gives us the best kind of big picture take on the sound of Envoy. Love that. Again, bass sounds coming in through here. Obviously, they're kind of pitched percussion in this sense, but fantastic. Nice rhythm loop there as well. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm repeating myself, but I love the fact that I get such a good, rich set of variety of the same thing. That's actually exactly what I'm looking for most of the time. When I find a good pattern, a good idea, and I'm like, yes, that's the right thing. Now I want to find the right sound for that. Something like this approach is perfect for my workflow. I love that. Kind of, it has that sense of space, like something mechanical, clunky. Oh yeah, that's nice and crunchy. Oh yeah, more pitched stuff coming in. Yeah, probably no surprise that I love this. Great groove, wonderful tactile percussive elements there, and then we get that resonant, pitched, distorted, again, kind of like a analog signal type of an element. Yeah, this is clearly going harder into that kind of drum machine noise department. Yeah, I'm really impressed by some of the resonant elements, the woody elements, and the kind of the clanky mechanical stuff. Beautiful pairing of sounds. Again, everything here, even though it's dark and distorted, everything is super clear and pure. I mean, listen to the just where things are sitting and the separation between them. Yeah, I mean, there's your next trailer Brahms sound. I mean, that's super sweet. Yep, that's going in the favorite folder for sure. Yeah, I just love the patterns here. I mean, the sounds are super, super sharp. I love how this marries different eras or genres of sound. Like to me, there's like a strong, because I used to play Game Boy Color when I was a kid, and a lot of these elements can have like a lean towards some of the best sides of that, sound card in that system, and also the distortion you would get from that little speaker when you drove it. But obviously there's a bunch of other things in here, like just the cinematicness, the darkness. But I mean, this sits at a very nice crossroads, or like a nexus point between a bunch of different use cases. So I can see how this can really lend itself to a variety of genres. And I bet every single one of us is going to hear different things here, because you're going to write for your style and your genre. So I think this will do really well in that sense, that it serves a bunch of different styles of music and kind of evokes a different feeling and inclination in everybody. Yeah, loving that. The thing here that I'm seeing is that obviously I can favorite these favorite presets here. And of course, I can also, save my own presets as well. But I would love a way to also favorite these individual basically keys. So I could see where some of my favorite stuff is without having to save to a different preset if I wanted to make like my own configuration of those things. So that would be really cool. I don't know how impossibly difficult that would be and how convoluted it got, but it would be cool if I heard, okay, I love this one, I want to save that straight somewhere. And obviously with the preset thing, you can do that, but something, faster, because I would love to go through these and then kind of pick my favorite individual keys or notes here that I really dig, and then build something out of those later on into my favorite or my custom user preset. So that would probably be cool. I don't know if there's probably another way to do that. I would have to think about that, or then just hear something from maybe Emergence Audio can put something in the comments. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking here. That's a super cool sound in the sense that we get like a really deep low end presence, but then that, higher end, kind of more alert Morse code type of a thing. That's going to be a really good sound for the right place. Yeah, there's like, looking at my scope, like a beautiful pairing of 80 hertz in the low end and then 800. yeah, 800 for that higher sound. Yeah, super tactile. Yeah, there again, we're getting that beautiful bass sound there. It's super nice. Yeah, that high, that's such a perfect sound. How beautiful is that distortion? It's like, again, this reminds me of something, not like a noise genre thing, but like something like the more chaotic electronic genres. I don't know the names, but I know the style. But that would be so good for something like that. Nice sort of callback to early 2000s or something like that. But I would say I don't typically like those type of sounds, but the way that sort of higher thing is made, it's really nice to listen to. Very smooth, very pleasant. Kind of has like a dispersion almost. Because usually I find those kind of sounds kind of annoying and like too metallic and resonant, and just, yeah, they don't jive well with me. But that one has like, sounds smooth, like dispersed more. I actually like listening to that. Absolutely love that. I don't usually even tend to like percussion in that style because it tends to sound like too splattery and too harsh. But this sounds hyper smooth to me. Yeah, and also, I mean, beautiful panning choices there as well. Yeah, I love these type of sounds. Really kind of brings back memories from maybe like Metal Gear Solid or something like that. Very, very cool. But again, nothing here is like sounds dated or cheesy or anything like that. Even though this is like pulling from very different kind of genres. I don't know if that's even the right. I don't feel like it's trying to go for things in sort of like specific genre way, but it's just the way it's put together. Again, it feels like a nexus point. It's like I could go there, I could go here, I could go there. So it's this is really brilliant stuff. Such a subtle sound, but that's so beautiful. Yeah, we have to favorite that one as well. Okay, so that's the Omni folder in its Omni configuration, so everything. I'm thinking, does it make more logic? Is that even a sentence? Is it more logical to go through the high, low, mids now, or do the split on? I think we'll go into the some of these main different configurations. So again, as we read in the manual, these are basically different ways of presenting the material, the content in here. Let me I actually do want to go back to the manual here again. There we go. Because, let's see, yeah, there it is. Cool. Because next up, I want to go through these in the order that I find to be the most sort of, shall I say, intuitive, or that speak to me the most. So again, we did Omni, so Envoy zoned, git style workflow, different source within the loaded kit. Okay. Split Omni. So I like this a lot because it's kind of clear. And then we have split zoned. Let's do split zoned. I think this one was the one that I was kind of initially the most drawn to, because it gives you splitting between the layers, but also the, what did it say, individual, let's see, split between the two layers, and each layer's half is further divided into multi-zone kits. 2 independent kits, two independent sequences, 2 independent zones, full separation between layer 1 and 2 in both source mapping and trigger range. Yeah, so that's kind of like I am a granular kind of guy. So let's get some of these loaded up. Again, I'm going to be a bit more ruthless here, choosing based on the previews due to time limitations. We can't play absolutely everything here, but I think we're doing pretty well so far. So, well, we did have a long intro there, but I wanted to cover the interface properly so you know what you're getting into. Cool. So moving into split zoned, I have something called Apex 65 loaded up here. And this will be interesting because it will give us, like they said, a more granular view of what those previous sounds consisted of. So let's start playing and see what happens here. Okay, so it seems like the red is like super low stuff here. Yeah, bear with me as I figure out the level differences here. Obviously, it's a very different type of a thing because we're playing single layers at a time. Yeah, the really sub stuff is pushing the limiter into distortion there. So as you can hear, some of the elements are really, really quiet, but I would guess that's due to how those were planned to fit in together with these other elements in the layer. So that's ultimately what I'd guess causes the differences in the level. Yeah, let's check out a couple of more here. I think this is probably for review or like demoing purposes for you here. Probably not the best go-to thing because of the how these are sort of paired together to work together, but also to be played together presumably. So let me preview a few from here, and I'll go on that basis. Oh yeah, I love that kind of stuff. Yeah, the level differences here are really big because for the preset, it's probably playing like a pre-selected balance of things. Here we also need to probably, it probably depends on the preset. So let's keep going. Yeah, so the level adjustments here make a lot of sense because these are, presuming you're playing them together, they build up to the level that kind of matches what we saw in Omni, because that's playing everything at the same time, but this is playing single layers to form that one big sound. But yeah, I like this configuration a lot because you can be in Omni, you can hear something you like, but if you don't quite there get the type of control or expression that you're after, you can fire this one up and then, you know, do things that way. So I do like this configuration a lot. Also importantly here, you can see that this is a poly thing, so it's going to start doing strange things in the rhythm department. Yeah, that's fantastic stuff. Really like crispy, sharp, super tactile sounding. Yeah, this configuration is also super useful when you are missing just that one thing. And if you have already like a pretty dense track going and you just want to drop in something to create a sense of rhythm, but doesn't take too much space, this would probably be my first stop to come to. such a pure, sharp, focused me. That synth thingy-majingy there. Beautiful. Ooh, I gotta find that bass somewhere. That sounded really good. How good is that? Yeah, brilliant. This is actually really useful because here I was very much focused on only this one kind of kit zone in layer 1. And that alone was like hyper rich. Because at first I was sort of course, color guided to, combine the zones together. But that's just like a mental model that you kind of fall into when you look at this. But this actually really now invites me more to stay within a single kit and then find interesting combinations there. So that's very cool to learn. Yeah, here definitely a lot of like retro gaming elements here. Ooh, I love that. Yeah, super cool. Again, that would work so well for a number of genres, just like modern, cinematic, industrial, futuristic, dark thing. But even, if you were doing something that you wanted to have like a modern flavor, but then have like that reference to like old retro gaming sounds, that would be so cool. Okay, time to make another decision here. Which one do we want to have a look at next? Split. Let's do split Omni, because that's also something that makes a lot of sense to me. We'll be quite brief with these other different zones, because at the end I still want to go through the high-low-mid breakup of the Omni chapter or the folder, because I think that makes a lot of sense to me, I did praise that in the beginning, just the concept that it is here, because I think every percussion library should have that kind of split as well. So I do want to focus on that, but we'll do, yeah, split Omni, and we'll check out a couple from here. Again, this is only like how the content is laid out to you, just a different way of working with it, but I do want to have a look at that. Maybe we'll go a bit quieter on this because it's a very aggressive type of a sound. I will say also this reads your playing timing really well, because even there I wasn't being particularly sharp, I don't think, with my timing, but it still reads it very nicely. So that's a good plus. Also, my buffer is 512, which is quite big, but to avoid like recording issues, sometimes if the buffer is too small with a library that's doing a lot of things, it can cause kind of CPU clipping, which will unfortunately end up in the video recording. So that's why we're doing that. But again, this is not something you really sort of as much play with your fingers, so I don't need a smaller buffer size due to that. But yeah, regardless, this is reading timing very nicely. I'm gonna pull back contact a bit because we're no longer in the granular view. A great example of like a kind of unassuming sounding sound at first, but then it just sounds huge. And to get that like brrr thing without taking up a ton of space out of your mix is it's not easy to do. Cool. Let's do a couple of more here. that low end is super, super hefty. Cool. Yeah, I like this configuration as well. It's sort of more straightforward, or sort of faster, I should say, than the granular view there. It is kind of challenging to know specifically, of course, what kind of source sound you are triggering with each. So I guess that kind of comes with the territory of then knowing the library. But it is something that I'm thinking about. Cool. And then you also have the Envoy zoned. Kit style workflow. Keyboard range is divided into multiple zones, each triggering a different source within the loaded kit. So this might kind of be what I just talked about. Kind of giving you that. So let's try it out. See if that gives the kind of clarity that I'm after. Yeah, it kind of does. I don't know if this is the best preset example to demonstrate that, but let's choose something else. Yeah, I like the sound of that a lot. I'm actually going to switch this to host. I'm going to do something slower. Then I want to pair this with something higher, if I can find it in this one. Yeah, I think this mode does give me a bit more clarity over like finding the groups of sounds that kind of belong in the same kit. I think that's probably the main challenge with the Omni mode and the Omni split, because you're still kind of left to search for the thing that you're looking for. This makes it a bit easier. There's still like fluctuations within each zone as well, which is good and desirable. But I wonder if there is a way to somehow represent that in the other modes. I don't think it's possible because they are, together layered. So this is a very interesting library in this sense, because the zones actually give you a completely different sort of creative approach to the whole instrument. And not just the creative, but like a logical conceptualizing approach to how you want to use this. And I think this is actually one of the most interesting parts about this library, because it's not something. Obviously, I've played many libraries that have different zoning, and you can create zones by yourself as well. I think what kind of makes it maybe different for this one is because the sounds are so well, it's a percussive library, kind of like electronic pitched elements as well, and it's sort of the sounds are far more similar to one another in a good way. Like this is like it has its own tone and soul, but like when I say they're similar to one another, I'm comparing it to like let's say a drum kit where you have a hi-hat and snare and kick. Those are distinctively like hyper different elements. Or you have like a synth with completely different sounds in different zones. This isn't like that. This is its own thing. It's always kind of doing the Envoy thing, but what kind of an Envoy thing is it doing depends on the source sounds, but it also doesn't depend only on the source sounds. Depends also largely on what is being done with the sequencer, which completely can change the sound entirely. So this is a very much like you have to know the sound of this, you have to know the soul of this, and then it kind of becomes like a toolbox, playground, sandbox thing. So this is a very unique instrument, period, on its own, even conceptually from that standpoint. And also the way these zones work, it's like this gives you a completely, it kind of asks you the question, like, how do you want to even conceptualize this instrument? How do you want to deal with this? Because Omni is kind of like a big picture, broad scope package kind of a thing. Then Envoy Zoned is actually, I want to say, yeah, again, it's different because it's multiple zones, each triggering a different source within the loaded kit. Both layers follow the same zoning structure. So they're still, yeah, doing the same or playing. Yeah. It's very interesting because it kind of changes how you even, at least for me, how I conceptualize this instrument altogether. So very, very unique in that regard. I think what I'll do now is jump into Omni and we'll check out each one of these a bit. So I'm going to start with high because accidentally opened my my what do you call that? The thing that keeps my I don't know what that's an ankle wrap Velcro thing, I guess. Yeah, so far I've really liked the high elements a lot. It's like they are so tactile, sharp, and what's also notable about this is that it's obviously a lot of the sounds can be kind of sharper and more aggressive, but nothing here again is brittle or harsh. So it's really well mixed and put together. Let me actually grab a tiny bit of water because this is getting, I don't know how long this has been, but the dry mouth syndrome always gets you at some point. Cool. Let's plow through some of these and see how they're laid out and what they sound like. Yep. Interesting that the preview doesn't sound very high. Okay, here we go. Yeah, generally it is high focus. Some of those I would probably put in a mid type of a thing. But yeah, sorry about the level. Some of those were clipping a bit because some of them are just the transient spikes are so much louder than some of the rest of the sounds that it's kind of I need to ride this fader as we move along. Let's go to the next one. Okay, seems like a lot of these are very quiet. Yeah, this is very cool. This goes straight into the kind of like workhorse toolkit kind of a category because there's a lot of cases where I need something like this. And again, I could just go into the high folder, pick up this one, for example, and I would have like a really, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, over 4 octaves of like just different variety takes on kind of the same core idea. So that's super, super, super useful. And again, this is a high pitched kind of electronic, kind of splashier digital kind of a, when I say digital, I mean it has that kind of like a colder tone here, mostly due to some of the effects here. But again, none of it, this is like harsh or brittle sounding. So it's gonna sit very nicely in a mix. I love that. So pure, so focused, beautifully resonant and distorting. Cool. So that's the gist of that. I want to do some mids. This is really the sound that is kind of the most unclear to me. Like, where's the boundary between the mids and the highs? Yeah, there we have some of those beautiful resonant sounds again. Very nice. I think one of the things here that I personally need to remind myself of, perhaps even more than mixing like low, mid, and high layers, it's just mixing stuff from the same layer together. That seems to work probably like the best for the things that I want to do here, broadly speaking. Like whenever I try, it just works really nicely. And that's also obviously a lot of the content here in the mids are going to kind of be lowish leaning or high. So that's more like I would say like a general guideline. Obviously, a lot of the low stuff are like very sub things. So if you want to add those in, that's a different story. But I would invite you to really play within single zones, because that, to me, seems to generate some of the most interesting ideas in here. So yeah, I mean, this kind of sounds like a pretty low thing to me. Oh, that's a bit too loud. Yeah, I would definitely define that as like a low thing. Obviously, it's not sub, but still. I love that. I mean, whenever you get like this kind of electronic, mechanical, resonant, you get a sense that there's something actual physical there. That's really cool. And again, this is a great example of just mixing one zone with itself, which seems to like be the most, maybe the most like best inspiring idea combinations seem to present themselves the best, or the most to me. And again, what's so impressive about that picture is that we get such a clear sense of every element: the grit, the resonance, the space, the detail, the heft, the size, the weight. But none of this is like blaring at me and like poking at me through the speakers. Because sometimes those things can sound impressive, but then they just never work in a mix. But this sounds so like sizable and impactful with like no effort. Very, very cool. This is named Pressure Cooker, and there are some retro video game sounds in here. I wonder if somebody has been listening to some Magnus Paulsen from Sweden with his VVVVVV soundtrack. Cool. Let's do one more. Oh, Lord. That's a really, really good sound, that low thing. Okay, and then let's check out a couple of lows here just to get an idea of what's in this folder. Yeah, this seems to be very kind of sub-focused, so hopefully you have some kind of headphones or something on. Yeah, so that seems to be kind of the thinking here, that low is mostly like sub content instead of being anything above that. Well, not entirely sub, but like very low focused. Everything above that is kind of the mid territory. So cool. Seems like we went through everything here. Of course, not every configuration, because like, as they said, there are like 4 million different combinations of things here. And of course, you have this all banks option where it just opens up everything here. So this could be kind of faster also to work with, especially once you really wrap your head around this instrument. You really know what you're looking for, how you want to be using it, etc. So, and this is a nice amount, again, a nice optimized amount of content because it's not overbearing. I really do like the naming system here. It is super fast sometimes, and here again it's clear, because sometimes the naming systems can be a bit not so clear, let's put it that way. So again, everything here has the layout first and etc., and then you have everything you need to determine whether it can serve its function. Cool. Awesome. So, time to wrap this up. First and foremost, as I've said many times over, I still think we have like so many great percussive libraries and a lot of like great cinematic percussive libraries, but I still think the alternative percussive sources category, excuse me, let's turn off the record button there, or the armed track so I don't trigger anything anymore. The alternative percussive source sample library or virtual instrument offering is still narrower than what I would personally like to see. There are so many cool percussive sounds in a lot of sound sources that are not like purely like organic percussion instruments, like a taiko or a kick drum or snare or toms of any sorts. And I think there's still so much to be covered. And one of the areas or one of the interpretations or expressions of that is the analog electronic domain. Could be drum machines, but could be, Eurorack or any kind of synthesis stuff that is used to generate percussive elements. And obviously this caters to that brilliantly. And specifically what this does is the cinematic stuff, because it's often the case that you have your key ready or you have your track and you want to have percussion, or you sometimes need percussion, but none of the traditional things are really working. You're trying the organic, real percussion instruments, but they don't really do what you're after. You don't want a taiko there, you don't want a snare, you don't want a hi-hat. And then when you go to the electronic sources, they can often sound a bit cliche or typical, or like it's been done 1,000 times already. Not necessarily that's not a bad thing always, but if it's bad for your track, then it's obviously a no-go. And it's often that I'm chasing an atmosphere, an energy. It's like, yeah, it's more like a feeling and emotion, not emotion, but motion that I'm chasing. And it's very hard to find a thing for that, because oftentimes you want to evoke that in the listener. You want to kind of evoke that in the track, but you don't really want it to be anything identifiable as percussion. And this is exactly what Envoy does. And I'm super happy to see this introduced to that landscape of toolkits available, because so often I'm in the position where I'm like, I need something percussive. I want it to be cinematic and like big sounding, but I don't want to have anything like really that identifiable. I want to have that motion. I want to have that energy. I want to have that cinematic sound and that vibe, but just have it be the essence of that. And this is exactly what this thing does. So broadly speaking, I would say this is definitely like dark. It definitely leans towards like a darker, grittier sound. This is by no means like a distortion overdone type of a thing. This, and I will praise the distortion here, because it's so tastefully done. It's like gritty, granular, edgy. Not once did I hear a distortion in here that was like too much. It's always super tasty, very dialed in, beautiful in a beautiful section of the sound, and not something plastered all over it. There were so many great sounds where it beautifully resonates like a part of the sound. So that's done very nicely. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the sounds do lean to that kind of grittier, very tastefully, lightly distorted stuff. As I mentioned earlier, this sits in a very nice, this is like a nexus point between different genres. So if you want to do obviously that kind of anything cinematic, could be like a drama, could be sci-fi, action, anything like that. Like it covers so much ground in that cinematic realm. But then also there's like that like retro video game vibe. Obviously a lot of these electronic sounds are automatically going to evoke that, because a lot of them are using like basic waveform things that resemble that. But I think this goes beyond just that. I think there are clear influences here. I'm not sure. I haven't talked with them about that specifically, but that's the vibe I'm getting. So like retro video game stuff, you could do that, but with a modern taste, maybe with a more like cinematic, expansive style. Then if you do like more like chaotic electronic stuff, even if you do like noise electronic things, but you want to have some percussion there, I would say this is a really, really good toolkit for like experimental electronic drum stuff. This is superbly good for that. Obviously, electronic music is such a wide net to sort of cast as a term here, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. Yeah, but and it has that kind of like futuristic, industrial, maybe depends on, but like could be dystopian type of a thing to it. But I also like that the flexibility of this is, it's very hard to describe without putting your hands onto this thing. Firstly, read the manual so you understand just how much things can be sent to different places and how much they can be transformed. But I think the overall sound of this, it's not exaggerated in any kind of a way that makes it not be flexible to further treatment. So I think if you want to take this to a more subtle direction, you can do that. Or if you want to go harder, you can definitely do that. So this will also be very, very useful in that way. I had one of the points earlier that I talked about in terms of, like, this has a very interesting combination of like it's like a sandbox, like a creative sandbox type of thing, but also like a workhorse toolkit kind of a thing. I mean, when we say workhorse, it usually means that it flexes to like a lot of things, or do we? I'm not sure. Obviously, this can't sound like everything, but it has like the flexibility in here is really, really impressive, because just with a few clicks, just with a few changes, you can take a sound into a completely different direction. Oh yeah, one of the things I wanted to touch on is the bass sound. So obviously this is, subtitled, and well, it's a percussion library or a percussion instrument, but due to the nature of using so many electronic pitched sources, there are actually a ton of really, really fantastic bass synth sounds in here, and also those high-end like bing, bing, bing. Like there's a lot of like sounds that remind me of like old analog gear, understandably, because that's literally what they used. Well, not old necessarily, but the similarities between the technology are very obvious. So yeah, if you're looking for pitched percussive elements, which obviously become pitched, so then you can use them as bass or higher pitched things as well, which, by the way, is another genre of virtual instruments that I think is even more underserved than this kind of a percussive library. I'm continuously asking for more pitched electronic virtual instruments or elements of any sort. So this kind of does both. So it's you really should know that, because this is like a 2-in-1 type of a deal. And because of that, it does become more like a bigger, broader, cinematic, percussion, pitched percussion toolkit. And it becomes more than a percussion library. It becomes like a cinematic toolkit through that. So I think that's probably something that a lot of people will overlook unless they really go harder in here. So it definitely has that kind of overall cinematic toolkit aspect to it as well. Anything else? Yeah, I really just want to, obviously I didn't get really like tweaky with this. I mean, the most tweaky part of this was the interface overview that we did, but it's really hard to overstate how much flexibility this has. You can do one tweak and it takes you completely in a different direction. And as we touched on in the beginning, just pitching these sources gives you so much. We get so much flexibility with this when it comes to just adjusting pitch or note length or anything. It feels very elastic, like very malleable, flexible. So that's not something you should, it's something I want to emphasize here as well. Cool. I think that is it for this video. Next up, as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm going to actually start writing a track with this, because hopefully that will be featured on the Emergence audio website. So I'll start going through many of the things that I favorited, as you can see there on the screen, and I'll start building a track. And if it's ready by the time that this video edit is done, I'll probably throw it here at the end of this video. As always, do let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know if you grab this, and let me know what you like about this. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Finished.